Good morning, friends, followers, channel members. How are we all today? It's been a while since we've done a morning flight, so yeah, bright sunshine for most of the way. No sun dropping low in the sky today as we depart Basel on this real-world flight to Krakow, John Paul II Airport, I think, to give it its full name. And this is a real-world route which actually doesn't fly today. I think it flew yesterday and I think it flies tomorrow. Perhaps it must be every other day. But you can find this route on Flight Radar 24 and this call sign as well. Nice call sign today. This is the second time in a row, for the first time in a long time, that we've got an Easyjet Swiss call sign. Frank, thanks very much for subscribing, nice and early on. So it's Top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo. That actually rolls off the tongue quite nicely. I like that. Top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo. So good morning, Amir, Pilot Patrick, good to see you. RLCJ Gaming, you as well. Barry Bartson, thanks for coming and stopping by. David Butler, good morning. And Artie Mans too, nice to see you as well. Lewis Aviation, are you not yet in training today? Good to have you on board as well. David Butler, are you watching on Facebook or YouTube, or are you doing it both? Dr. Magic, good morning, and you've got us on in the background at work today. Well, what better company for you to have. So we are on VATSIM, not that at this time of day we've got any air traffic control, but we are on VATSIM, so we should hopefully see a few more pilots flying around as well. Christian, good morning, sir, and Danny D. London, good to have you on board. We're going to start getting boarded, but the aircraft needs quite a bit of setting up because it is the first flight of the day. It's cold and dark. Interactive Studio, thanks for stopping by as well. So I'll also be interested to see how the new NVIDIA driver update stacks up now that I've just done that. That was released a couple of days ago, so we'll see if it has any noticeable improvements. I tend to very rarely see any improvements, to be honest with you, but obviously we keep them updated because it's the done thing. Roland, Aiden, and Kakpa, good evening. Kakpa, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but good evening from Wellington in New Zealand. Yeah, doing an early morning flight here in the UK means that those at the other side of the world get to see us at a reasonable hour. So once again we are on the A320NX and it is the experimental version, so all should be working quite nicely. GPU is connected, so let's go ahead and get the batteries on. External power, and then we'll run the flows. So the crew oxygen supply, the ground control, adheres 1, 2, 3. Navigation logo lights, and we'll arm the turn the non-smoking signs onto auto, arm the emergency lights, and then we'll just run the EPU test. Then we can get that started. There we go. And engine 1 and engine 2. There we go. Right, happy with that. So let's get that APU started nice and early before we start allowing passengers to board. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Simon Smith, good morning to you. Right, so sadly, because of the parking gate we are at, it appears that no ground vehicles are available to us. I'm just going to turn the fly pad on. Sometimes I can make them spawn. If not, then we'll go without it. This is not standard scenery, this is custom scenery. There's a couple of different versions of this, and I've forgotten now which one I've got. Let me just pull that in from SimBrief. Yeah, there we go. I'm just going to try the ground vehicle, see if that will work. So, can we spawn a staircase? Will that arrive? No, I think it's all to do with the parking positions. And to be honest with you, realistically, we should be parked at 26A, but that wasn't an option, sadly. So, never mind. Anyway, not to worry. The operational flight plan, as I say, is now pinned in the chat for those of you watching on YouTube, so you're able to go ahead and download that. So I just want to start getting fueled up correctly, so let's have a little look at the weather. Now the weather here in Basel is quite nice, so don't need to worry too much about that. We've also got a nice ILS for Krakow when we get there. And then let's have a look. What's the date today? It's the 22nd, so the winds are currently nice and light. Great visibility, scattered 1,400, broken 4,000 feet. I don't actually see visibility decreasing or anything like that, or even the winds getting up to anything in particularly bad. So with that in mind, we probably won't need to probably don't need to look at loading too much extra fuel. There's towering cumulus that could arrive basically any time today, but you'll find that's pretty normal. And then the next thing is the probability of fog, but that's tomorrow morning, so again, we don't need to worry about that. Half a ton should be more than adequate of extra fuel. The only other thing I want to do is if we come down here, look at the bottom, just see the Sigmet charts, see what's showing on here. Can I zoom in? I can't zoom in any further than that. But yeah, looking at that, we've got nothing in the way of major cumulus clouds or anything that's going to concern me. So yeah, I'll stick with the plan of half a ton extra fuel. So the planned block is 7 tons. We're going to load then 7.5. So let's go ahead and set that up. 7,500 kilograms, and so that's on its way. Let me check the current QNH here in Basel 1029, and we'll get the rest of our pre-flight setup complete. So 1029, that's quite high, isn't it? It's a nice high pressure system. Anti-skid is on. And then let's just come down to the pedestal. We're on Unicom. The guard is 1215. Flight deck doors currently open. Switching panel is good. Thrust levers at idle. Engine mode selector and engine starters as they should be. Parking brake is on. Flaps up. That should be set to standby. That should be on. And let me just pop in the squawk of 2000. Okay, that's good. Let's come up to the glare shield. I know from looking at the charts prior to the flight that our initial climb out is going to be 7,000 feet, so I can set that now. We can also set the QNH 1029. Pop the constraints on there. Flight directors 1 and 2 already turned on. Instrument panel, turn those up. And I think we can start getting passengers loaded as well once I've done this. So that's the upper ECAM, lower ECAM, and I can leave the first officer displays. Okay, that's all good. Let's just have a check up here. There we go, APU bleed is on. Right, self-loading cargo time. Let's get the passengers all ready. Dark Fury, good morning sir, hope you're well. Mr. Espresso, you're on holiday so you can enjoy the scream. Oh, what a great way to spend a morning. I can just hear the passengers arriving, coming on board now, that's fine. Mr. Espresso as well, yes, I would prefer to use this for VATSIM, just because you know the flight plan isn't going to disappear or anything daft, so you're not going to be caught short with that, which I would consider a major failure if all your flight plan disappeared and you had to revert back to using raw data. So, our alignment in around 3 minutes. Let's set up the box. So, we first of all need to get everything from SimBrief in here. Init press, see if that matches us up. 1 hour 36, so we've got a nice lengthy flight for you this morning. Onto the weights and balance page, we'll ignore the fuel page, and let's have a look and request the OFP. So, a payload then of, let's see if this is right, payload 17680, spot on. 0 fuel weight of 63942, again that's spot on. So let's start, well, start boarding. Obviously I use self-loading cargo for boarding, which is neat, but the fly-by-wire will at some point have its own sounds as well, which I can't wait to hear those. The sound guy Boris at fly-by-wire does an absolutely fantastic job. Okay, so now that's all set and done, and we can also check the gross weight is increasing. Let's go to the data page. IRS is still aligning, and aircraft status. Just check we've got the valid LEAP engines, and the Airac cycle is up to date as well. So onto the init A page, and let's pull that information in. Okay, that's all gone. I have no idea why the scrolling speed is slower compared to mine. That just seems really strange, doesn't it? I'm afraid I can't help you with that. Mark, good morning. Just want to say thanks for the hard work producing the streams. You hear most times watching in the background while working from home. Oh well, let us take you to Krakow today, Mark, while working. Thanks for stopping by. The alternate today then is, I think, is that Bucharest or Budapest? Budapest, isn't it? Lima Hotel Bravo Papa, and our call sign today is Easyjet Switzerland, so top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo. Cost index of 8, flight level 370, minus 56, and the tropo is 42309. Flight plan then today, a departure off runway 15 is planned, and that is the LBEG 7 Sierra. First one in. Can I just clear the scratch pad actually? There we go. LBEG 7 Sierra and insert, and then on arrival into Krakow it is runway 25 is planned, so ILS 25, and that is the Padka 3 Golf. If we can find that. Padka 3 Golf, and that should be via Basel. A distance of 595, and the flight plan gives us 589, so yep, close enough for jazz. So that's all set up. The RadNav page, let's bring the charts up, see what we're going to pop into there. There's only one thing. In fact, actually no, there's a couple of things I can pop into here for this. So the Bravo Lima Mike, we're going to pop on VOR1, Bravo Lima Mike 11745, that's correct. And then there's a couple of NDBs we can use as well. So we've got our Bravo Sierra, pop that in there. That might actually take a while to filter through because there's probably quite a few Bravo Sierras in the world. There we go, that'll be the one we want, the one a mile away. And we've also got Bravo November as well. In fact, you know what, actually, I'm going to put Bravo November in here and Bravo Sierra in the other one. And just to save me a bit of time, I'll put the frequency in direct, which is 376. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn those on. So I'm going to have the VOR there, the ADF just there, and I'll also turn the ADF on over there as well. Onto the init B page then. Zero fuel weight is 63.9, zero fuel weight center of gravity 23.9. Trip wind, a headwind of 31 coming in today, and fuel planning 6.3, and we've already said we're going to take 7.5 for fuel planning purposes. We're going to call that 7.4. a takeoff weight of 71.1. Let's just check that. 71.1. That seems... yeah, that seems about right. Bear in mind we have loaded half a ton of extra fuel. Alternate is around let's call that 1.8 tons for our alternate, and then that will give us the fuel we've loaded gives us an extra 20 minutes of flying time. Okay, all good. Onto the performance page. Transition altitude here is 7,000 feet. And thrust reduction is 1864, as is the acceleration. Noise abatement 2 departure here. 1864, same for the engine out. Acceleration flaps 1, and then V speeds 143, 139, and 138. Now there's a speed restriction in the standard instrument departure that we're flying, a maximum speed of 220 knots. So let me just check. We can't fly that clean, so we're going to fly all of that in flaps 1 at a speed of 202 knots. So let's pop that in just there. Okay, box is all set up. I'm happy. Let's start talking through our brief. So obviously we are sat on the ground at Basel. The weather here today is beautiful. Nice long runway as well. So if we have any sort of problems with regards to the aircraft and we need to get back in somewhere, this is a great place to come back. Just need to be aware that we are above the maximum landing weight, so we would need to be aware of that should we need to return straight away. We can get in, of course. We just need to run the overweight landing procedure, things like starting the APU to power the packs, or turning the packs off, make sure the engines have good performance. The aircraft that we're using is the experimental version of the Type A320neo. We have a couple of in-op systems, no terrain radar, no weather radar, and no TCAS, so we need to be aware of the rate of descent or climb when we're nearing our selected altitude. No NOTAMs to be aware of that are going to affect us today. Threats to be aware of around the airport: we have terrain right on the departure path to the south of the airport and to the east of the airport as well. So we've got a nice sharp turnout to make sure we avoid that. Minimum safe altitude on departure is 4,300 feet, and we can just see that just here. So let's talk about the departure itself. We are at stand 26. We're going to push back. We'll face north. We'll then taxi out via November 2. And from there we'll take Bravo and taxi all the way down to holding point Bravo, runway 15. On departure then, it is the Orbx 7 Sierra, which we can see here. We climb straight ahead, and then at or above 1,900 feet, but not before Bravo Sierra, we make a right-hand turn then to Bravo November. After that it's to Elberg. Now let's just check that all of that is actually coded in. So Bravo Sierra, 1,900 feet, Bravo November, Elberg. All good. I can actually just pop that back on there. To be fair, Bravo November I want on the navigation display. In fact, if I got those the wrong way around, not before Bravo Sierra. We can see Bravo Sierra there. So after that, that's when we'll make the right hand turn. Captain Scoop, there is no weather radar because this aircraft doesn't support it just yet. Also, please don't spam the chat if you can. Call into speed restriction, which we've already spoken about, so we'll just bring that into our scan. We've already got the Bravo Lima Mike VOR in there as well for situational awareness should we need it. Once we have departed, it's going to be flaps 1 all the way until we get past Bravo November. After that, we obviously make the right turn to Elberg, at which point we'll start to clean up the aircraft and accelerate away. We'll push back into managed speed. Okay, so all of that is done and good and coded correctly. Let's just talk about if we have an emergency. At the moment, I'm just checking, we've got no ATC on the line. So if we had a problem on the ground while taxiing, we'll just make a call on Unicom, and we'll obviously then tell the guys around us that we've had to stop. Erman Johnson, thank you so much for your support, Erman. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Captain's Club. Thank you very, very much, Erman, for your support. Free drinks on all our flights for you. And if you're not in our Discord server, please do get in the Discord server and make yourself known, so we can give away a proper welcome. So good morning, and thank you, Erman. Hope you have a good flight with us today. Von McLean, good to see you as well. So yes, that emergency brief. As I say, if we have any problems during the taxi, we'll stop the aircraft and inform ATC. If it's a minor issue, then we'll try and get that solved using running any ECAM drills as necessary. And just going to come off Unicom while I continue the departure brief. On departure then, if we have any problems or warnings before 100 knots, then we'll consider stopping, but after 100 knots and up to V1, we only stop for ECAM warnings, cautions, engine fire, failure with or without thrust lost, or if we think the aircraft is completely unsafe to fly. If that's the case, I will call stop, at which point we'll go max reverse, keep the aircraft nice and straight on the runway, and use manual brake-ins if auto brake isn't doing the job well enough. Also, if you had a fire warning, I'll attempt to point the aircraft into the wind. Once we've come to a stop, stow the reversers, set the parking brakes, and then we shall just check the ECAM status to make sure we know why we have stopped. And once we've established the cause of that failure, we can either complete the ECAM tasks and we'll vacate the runway. If it's more serious and we had something like a fire warning, then we may have to consider running the emergency evacuation checklist, but always make sure that we give that some serious thought before doing so, as passengers will likely be harmed if that's the case, sending them down the slides. A failure after V1, however, means that we're committed and we have to get the aircraft into the air. If it's an engine failure, we'll fly using standard technique, climb out at 12.5 degrees pitch, use rudder to counteract any yaw, and once the aircraft has a positive rate of climb, we'll get the gear up, trim out the yaw, and we can engage autopilot. We'll also look to pull the heading bug at this point, as it is a non-standard engine out procedure here, and this is where the VOR Bravo Mike Lima Bravo Lima Mike comes in. If we did have a problem, then I want to get to a distance of 7 miles from Bravo Lima Mike, and once we are 7 miles away, we will then make a right turn and enter the hold at Altic, just here. Altic entry is 92 degrees, and it's a right turned circuit. So once the engine has been secured and we're above the single engine acceleration altitude and we've completed that turn, that's when we'll push the level off, accelerate, retract flaps and schedule, and then at green dot we'll go open climb and set maximum continuous thrust. Once we've got at least once we've got into the holding point there, then we can decide what we're going to do, whether we can turn, return or divert. Of course, we hope that none of this happens. So that's the emergency brief. One other thing I should bring into that as well is if we are entering that hold, we will also look to retract the flaps, but we may still hold that airspeed of 220 knots, so I'd only retract them to in fact I would probably leave them at flaps 1 until we've decided what it is we're doing, because the max speed in that hold that we're heading to anyway is 220 knots. So final check of the flight plan. We'll just clear that discontinuity and check at the other end. All looks good. Right, I think I heard the beep from the cabin crew that the passengers are now all boarded and safe. We'll get rid of the ground power unit as well, as the APU's powering the aircraft nicely.
All the passengers are on board and we're ready to go. I'll bring you a cup of tea after we've taken off.
That's great, thank you.
We've got some good cabin crew today, providing me with tea, by the sounds of things. Okay, so final checks, then we'll do the before start checklist. So whilst I go ahead and do the checks, we'll also welcome our passengers on board.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. My name is Gavin and I would like to welcome you on board this Easyjet aircraft. We expect a good flight with you today with no weather problems showing in front of us, so we should be pushing back within the next few minutes or so. For now, the ground crew have now finished loading the last of the baggage into the aircraft, so if you could get yourself seated and secured, then we can make sure we can depart on time. The cabin crew will shortly be providing their safety demonstration video, so it would be appreciated if you could give them your full attention. A special welcome on board to our Easyjetsimpilot members, and if you wish to inquire about becoming a member, please contact a member of the cabin crew. All our Easyjetsimpilot members are of course entitled to free drinks throughout the flight. Thanks very much, and we'll give you an update once we are airborne. Cabin crew, we're all ready to go. Please answer all the cross checks. Thank you.
Right, so we're ready to run some checks. Eamon, yeah, the stable version does have terrain, so does the developer version. It's just this version, because it's been built from the ground up by the Fly-by-Wire team, that doesn't have it just yet. Okay, so before start checklist, cockpit preparation is all completed. Our signs are on and auto. Adheres 3 nav green. Fuel quantity is 7460 kilograms and balanced. FMGS is set and altimeter is 1029. I'm just going to check that. We've obviously been here a while, so it may have changed. 1029 still valid and current. Great stuff. So with that done, I'm going to call the tug. But before we do that, let's get ready to push. So we'll get the rotating beacon light on, and I can pop the transponder to standby. I've also just noticed as well that the hydraulic pressure there is not in the green, so we'll just use the yellow electric pump to get that pumped up. It's because we've not got any ground crew loading the cargo doors. Normally the opening of the cargo door would automatically bring the yellow electric pump online, which would pressurise the acupressure. Sadly not happened today, so we'll use the pump for it instead. There we go. You can actually hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on stream, but I can just hear that. Okay, let's turn that off. So we'll get our well, we're not going to get pushback clearance. We actually don't have any ATC here. Now I'm guessing we may not even have a real life pushback tug, sadly. So let's have a look what happens when we try and call the pushback tug. Doesn't look like they want to talk to us today because we don't actually have a physical pushback tug. That's a shame, but never mind. I imagine it will still work regardless. So if that is the case, then I'm just going to check windows and doors closed and armed. Rotating beacon light is on. Mobile phone is off. Parking brake is on. And we can get ready then to start the push. Let me make that announcement then on Unicom 122.8. Basel traffic, top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo, stand 26, pushing back facing north. So if we can now release the parking brakes, and hopefully we should move. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start the engines as well. So to do that, engine mode select to start, and starting engine 1. XBMF on Twitch, good morning. Capes the Strugger, you don't trim the aircraft, not yet. You haven't got any power to the systems until the engines are running. So just keep an eye on until engine number 1 has stabilized.
Your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft. A safety card is in your seat pocket showing the exit routes, oxygen masks, life jackets and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide
Starting
you.
engine 2.
Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping others. If we land on water, take the life jacket from under your seat. Put it over your head. Pass the tapes around your waist. Click together and pull the strap to adjust. Do not inflate it inside the aircraft. When outside, inflate by pulling the toggle. If it fails to inflate or needs topping up, blow into the tube. There is a light and whistle for attracting attention. We also carry flotation aids for children. Your tray table must now be stowed, armrest down.
Engine 2 is now available. We'll start the chrono and
a pleasant flight with
we can run the after start checks. Yeah, my good old George the dog there was just trying to emulate the PTU. He didn't want to be outdone, bless him. APU bleed is off, anti-ice not required, APU master can come off, and let's arm the spoilers, centre the rudder. So we've got aircraft taking off runway 33, that's interesting. So flaps 1, and that trim setting is 23.9. Let's just go ahead and set that. Okay, so the after start checklist. Anti-ice is off. ECAM status checked. Pitch trim is 23.9 and rudder is 0. So the pushback tug is of course clear, because sadly we didn't have one. And we'll just announce our taxi intentions. Basel traffic, top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo, taxi now via November 2 Bravo to holding point Bravo for runway 15 departure. While we're stood stationary, let's do the flight control check. Full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, rudder, full right, rudder, full left, neutral.
Visual traffic Alpine 4491, landing up runway 33 for departure.
Also get the weather radar's predictive wind shears on as well. lifting the cabin up here.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Oh, all these cars in the way. How annoying. Strangely enough, Basel uses runway 15, even with a tailwind up to certain points, just because it's much easier to get into, because of that terrain down in the south of the airfield. So you'll often find, as we did actually last night when we landed here, runway 15 was in use in the real world, even though there was a tailwind, but that's no problem. It was well within limits. So follow the blue. Christian Starmer, good morning. Okay, so whilst we're on the nice straight section, I'll tell you what I didn't do. Didn't put the taxi light on. Whilst we're on the nice straight section, let's run through our PEDS check. So, no change to the performance, it's still going to be Toga, QNH still 1029. Engine out procedure is non-standard and a right-hand turn at Bravo Lima Mike, 7 miles DME, right turn to the Altic holding point. And the departure that we have is the correct one, matches nicely in the FMGS. Sorry, FMGC, if we're going to be critical about things. And the stop altitude is 7,000 feet, and that is set. So, before takeoff, checklist to the line. Flight controls have been checked. Departure briefing is confirmed. Flap setting config 1 and set. Transponder is set. ECAM memo takeoff no blue, and electronic flight bag is stowed. We'll get our self-loading cargo sat down for takeoff. And we'll taxi all the way to the end, and that's where we'll hold at Bravo. Admittedly, the departure on runway 33 is easier, but they prefer to bring aircraft in on runway 15 when they can. What are the latest winds here? We can get those off the flypad. Winds here are 320 at 3. Yeah, they're so light. They're still using runway 15. I can see though, if you don't know that, why you would opt for runway 33. Flying Legend, I'm not rolling in the wrong direction. No, no. We're departing runway 15 as per the real world. Actually, yeah, this was an add-on airport. It looks really rather nice, doesn't it? Lots of detail. I think it's the Just Sim version. I'm almost sure it's the Just Sim version. You can see the windsock there hardly moving, so that's confirmation of how low those winds are. And just listening out on Unicom, I've not heard any other traffic planning on landing runway 33, so I think we're good. I think we're safe. Do wish the ADF needles didn't flash. But never mind. So if I haven't missed any questions as well whilst we've been setting up, my apologies, but obviously setting up, and as we're about to depart as well, takes my concentration away from that. But we've got an hour and 36 minutes, I think the flight time is, to chat, so plenty of time. Barry, always surprised how fast I taxi. Straight line you can go up to 30 knots, so no issues there. But then you do want to slow down to around 10 knots for turns, which is easier said than done in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because you always end up slowing down a bit too much, or indeed coming to a stop Right, let's hold it there, and we're at the holding point, so that's fine. Brake temperatures are 15 degrees. Yeah, that's nothing, so no problems with that. Our approach path looks clear, and as I said, I've not heard anything on the comms, so we'll get the lights on. And PAX 1, PAX 2 off. Transponder on, and TCAS, even though it doesn't work. And we'll make the call. Basel traffic, Top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo is lining up for departing runway 15 on the Elberg 7 Sierra departure. So let's begin the line up, and we'll run the before takeoff checklist below the line. Cabin is secured for takeoff, engine mode selector is normal, TCAS TARA PAX off, and anti-ice off. If you've enjoyed the setup of the flight so far, before departure, please do give the like button a bash for the stream. It really does help the channel, so I appreciate everybody that hits that like button for me. Alright, let's try and get the aircraft nicely lined up. Might just need a touch of power in the engines to propel us forward slightly. There we go. And one final paranoia check, so it's takeoff and at 1,900 feet, but not before Bravo Sierra, we make the right turn. And there we can see Bravo Sierra. Okay, ready to go. Let's reset the chrono. That's well over 3 minutes, so that's fine. And let's set 50% N1. Engine stable, and set takeoff thrust. Mantoga, SRS, runway. V1, rotate. Nav. So remember, make that turn at 1,900 feet, but not before Bravo Sierra, which is 1 mile away. Set climb thrust. Thrust climb. Climb. And I'll just turn that pack on as we begin that right hand turn. Another reason we didn't pop it into autopilot, because autopilot would have turned us left, and we don't want that. So I expect to pitch up to keep that speed at 202 knots.
2,500.
That terrain increasing beneath us, as you hear the radio altimeter calling out. So I have to hand fly this departure. No ATC online, so we can look to increase our climb altitude. So let's set an altitude flight level 200. That's open climb 200 blue. And we're just following those flight directors, which are now looking very reliable. So I'm happy to engage the Autopilot 1. So Autopilot 1 is engaged. We can get Pack 2 back online. And we'll just monitor this path that the Autopilot flies as it takes us to Bravo November. After that we can go into managed speed and start to accelerate away. So we're about a minute away from Bravo November, and then we should get that right hand turn to Elbow coming up. The flight plan, as you look now, has just sorted itself out and is now taking us to Elberg, which is fine. Now we're basically through that turn. We can start to accelerate away. So we're going to manage speed as we come above S speed. Then the nose starting to lower down, so we can accelerate away. We can clean the aircraft up.
Gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt fastened while the seatbelt sign is
Flap
on.
0, spoilers
We
disarmed.
recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
And lights can come off as well. We're now at 10,000 feet nearly. I'll release the cabin crew. So you can just see a hint of the airport down there. And there you can see as well the terrain that was starting to rise, causing our red altimeter to come alive. Past 10,000 feet. We'll now start to accelerate to our cruising speed. Having said that, it seems to be still holding 250 knots, so I'm wondering if... right, yes, so max speed is 250 knots at Elberg. Now, realistically, I would imagine ATC would cancel that, given that we're now above 10,000 feet, and if you wish to do that, we can do that ourselves by going into the flight plan, Elberg, clicking on the right hand side. There's that speed constraint, so if we clear that, I expect this magenta triangle to disappear. There it goes, it's now gone up, so aircraft nose will lower as we begin to accelerate away. Lovely. Weather looks fine. We can now release the passengers, so to speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now turned off the seatbelt sign and you are now free to move around the cabin. We do recommend, however, when
And here's me thinking that I'd put that on mute.
in case of unexpected turbulence. The toilets are now available. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So we're just clearing the RadNav page out as we're done with all of those. We can turn those off. And we just passed flight level 130. Everything now seems to be working lovely. Our job now is to just monitor the flight path, how the aircraft's climbing, fuel flow, things like that. Hardly any clouds to worry about either, which is really nice. Oops, wrong button. And if we just peer over the glare shield and see just what a clear day it is. We are on live weather, of course, live weather and live time. Slav, the window view was set up as a cockpit view. Yeah, you're right, custom views. Willie, good morning, sir. How are you doing? James, nice takeoff. The sound was satisfying to listen to. Yeah, well, that was a perfect example of why sometimes you need to hand fly, because the flight director, if it would have had the autopilot on, it would have taken us left out of the airfield, and we don't want to do that, so we hand flew it until it picked it up correctly. So the flight time is 1 hour and... what is it? 1 hour 36 minutes. So that's giving us plenty of time to enjoy the flight this morning. Watch video. Good morning. Elias01, how long do you think it will take FlyByWire to implement VNav as long as they have done with LNAV? Well, they're still working on LNAV. And I expect, I don't know, I don't want to put a time on it. And it's not fair to put a time on it, because we have to remember that they're doing it, you know, they're doing it all for free, aren't they, in their own time. So, it's not really fair. Okay, we're going to check the prog page and check we can go up to our cruising altitude today, which is set flight level 370. That's no issue, so let's continue our climb. Flight level 370, 370 blue, coming up on 20,000 feet. Andy, good morning. You've enjoyed the flight so far? Great stuff. Hope you will be around for the majority. I know a lot of people, obviously, in my time zone or at work, just have us on in the background. And why not? Why not indeed? So there's some great sights to be seen on both sides of the aircraft today. Says the scenery is just amazing. No one can disagree with that. The flight simulator itself is obviously still in its infancy. It's only a year old, and it has its little bugs and quirks, but I do honestly believe that the majority of bugs and quirks that people do experience are sadly how they have the simulator or their hardware, PC, etc. set up as... No, I'm not going to say it. I was about to say I haven't had to crash the desktop for a long time. But you just wait and see now. That'll happen, won't it? Last, you start a flight with the A320 plane and it's not there. Check out my latest video, my friend, and that will fix the issue for you. The video is even entitled something like Invisible A320, so that'll get that sorted for you. Tony, have I changed any of my graphic settings since the last video? So, yes I have, and there's a video on them, so you can see that. So it's basically my graphic settings post Sim Update 5. Luke1234, good morning. Yes, will we flying the Phoenix 320 when will it become my main aircraft? I honestly don't know. There's so many good promises with the Phoenix, and the in-depth level it's going to is just phenomenal, probably far more than you need for a home flight sim. But it's going to be the documentation that's important. It's all well and good having failures, but do you know how to deal with them? Dr. Magic, it works, just remember to turn the sound down when someone comes into the office. Claudia, you're working from home and enjoying a nice flight. Yeah, so many people working from home, and that's great. Danny, good morning, Danny Rubble. Hope you're well. At last, yeah, that's it. You've got the invisible plane. That video will sort it, my friend. Go check that out. Peter Dawson on Facebook, thank you for liking, and Joshua Sutek on YouTube. Thank you so much for subscribing. Claudia, what's the difference between the Phoenix and the Fly-by-Wire? Well, at the moment, the main difference is the Fly-by-Wire is available. The difference is meant to be the level of detail the Phoenix goes into. The Phoenix is, they don't like to use the word study level, do they? But to all intents and purposes, that's kind of what they're aiming for. And I sort of think that the Phoenix aircraft has got bigger plans for the future. Given the amount of detail they're going into, perhaps they're looking to license that to airlines and flight schools as a way of training pilots. So we'll see. Adrena, will you be able to fly the 320 properly, the Phoenix version? If you're familiar and happy with the fly-by-wire, then I see no reason why not. They're exactly the same. Alright, different engines, but essentially all the same systems and things. The only difference is going to be the Phoenix can pop up with real-world, realistic failures and ECAM messages. But then you need to know how to deal with them. Well, you're only going to know how to deal with them if someone shows you, or if it comes with a QRH. And that's going to be very exciting to see what they do with that. RSM TV, you did a flight this morning from Manchester to Gatwick, one of my favourite routes. The airport textures were missing. All the buildings were grey and boring. Were you using any mods, RS, or were you just using default? Roland, in the event of having to change your flight plan mid-flight, how would you do it? Well, sadly, you can't do that at the moment in Microsoft Flight Simulator in the Airbus, because the secondary flight plan page doesn't work. So without that, you can't do it. The only way you would be able to do it, and it's a little bit crude and I can't really show you because I can't do it, would be to go to your init A page and then type in whichever departure airport you set off from, and then a new arrival airport, and from there you'd have to build up your own flight plan. Very messy. Drina, you happy with the 320NX? But they say the Phoenix is going to be much more professional at study level. Yeah, and that's fine, but you know what? I'd say 90% of the things on the Phoenix you'd probably never see. Because that's going into sort of detail where you have failures, you have issues, you have problems. Well, the whole point is... Hello? Aircraft there. Yeah, so you have issues, you have failures, you have problems, which you don't get day to day. Day-to-day flying is the 320 here. The fly-by-wire's got. The only thing fly-by-wire doesn't have at the moment, okay, we know about VNAV, but we also know it's not essential. And a little bit more detail in the McDo. I think that's going to be the Phoenix's biggest selling point. All the McDo pages working correctly. That's going to be important. And the data link, etc. Obviously VNAV. But Fly-by-Wire have also said that they're working on that as well, so, you know, it all depends what you're after and whether you're willing to pay for it. Requeen, it's perfect now, you can sit back, relax and smoke like in the 80s. Do I also fly turboprops? No. No. That said, I do have the DC-6 and I occasionally like going into that for a bit of old school navigation. How are we doing? Flight level 300. So if I just go down the OFP here, let's just check out some critical areas of our flight today. So as we come over towards Madeb, we're nowhere near Madeb yet. Let's just zoom out. So there's Madeb coming up. We've got Madeb, Zebix, and Tulsi. Madeb, Zebix, and Tulsi. So between those three waypoints there, 1, 2, 3, the minimum off-route altitude is above 10,000 feet. And we can see why. The Alps are in the way. So if we had a problem, a depressurization problem, we'd need to get down, obviously, but we can't get down below 10,000 feet because of the terrain, so we'd have to have an escape plan. Well, we can bring up the charts for that, they can help. Let's have a quick look. So we find MADEP on there. So the escape plan would be to head north instantly. We can see the numbers in red are the dangerous areas. We obviously don't want to go south. So if we have a depressurization problem, we'll go left and get the aircraft down to 10,000 feet. But even how realistic is the A320NX? For day-to-day flying, it is very realistic. Minus the in-op terrain, weather radar and TCAS systems, but other than that, yeah. BMF, how do I get the comms up on the screen? There is a setting in the accessibility. I can't show you at the moment, but it is on the accessibility options, and I think it's accessibility options, and I've forgotten what it's called. I'm sure someone in the chat will be able to tell you if they're in the sim at the moment. But it's the option is called Enable Software Tooltips or Enable Software Tips, something like that. Turn that on, and it should work. Elias, the Phoenix system depth is like everything has its own backup and unique system. There's a system behind a system, as per the real aircraft. That's right. Danny D, London, how do I get the departure ETA bar at the top? Right, that is a streaming overlay, so I can't see that. I have no idea if it's giving you the right information or not. I can't see it in the sim, so if you're just flight simming and flying, you won't be able to see it. But yeah, neat for you guys watching the stream, but as I say, I can't actually see that, and I'm kind of glad I can't see it, because I don't want to see that at the top. If I want to find out some information, I've got all the tools I need in front of me. Rick02, the FlyByWire Airbus 380 will be free. So that's good. They said they will always maintain that as being free. Oh, look at the Alps. Please do like the stream if you enjoyed the flight so far. Of course, if you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on that notifications bell. So hopefully we should be on the ground a little before 1100 Zulu hours. The weather looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it? Really nice. Drini, to be honest, your biggest question about the Phoenix is whether it will be the same as the 320 when it comes to the performance. Well, the performance, again, they've showed off details about the Phoenix performance, and the performance has apparently been really well optimized. So maybe they've got that big in the bag as well. I thought your biggest question, Drini, was going to be how much is it going to cost. Right, what's the max shear rate we're expecting over here? Just wondering, it might get a little bumpy over the Alps. Oh, no. Shouldn't have anything too bad to worry about. Once we get to cruise, I'm going to run through the top of climb checks, and then I am going to just nip to the galley, grab a drink. Look at that down there. Wonder where that is. That is some detail. I'm 35,000 feet up, and that looks as clear as ever. That really does look fantastic, doesn't it? Just looking at all the details there, you can see the rivers and the valleys. Obviously the roads connecting the two towns. I've no idea where it is. I could probably make an estimated, educated guess if I got Google Maps up. Awesome. Right, so we're now coming up on our cruising altitude. Mac Alt Star. And Alt Cruise. So we'll go through the top of climb checks. First one will be at Zebix. How much fuel should we have? 23 minutes into the flight. Let's have a quick look. So I would expect to see about 5.6 tons of fuel if this is burning things correctly. 5.6? Yeah, 5.6 tons. What have we got? 5.5, so burned a little bit more than expected. That said, we did the takeoff flaps 1, so we had the extra drag, didn't we? We didn't accelerate away soon, so we're burnt. Well, to be fair, actually, no, what did I say? 5.6. Yeah, 5.6. It's just under 5.6. No, that's spot on. That's fine. JF89. Thank you so much. I need one. I need one, JF89. You're really kind. Thank you so much for your $3.99 donation. Just there. Hope you've had a great flight. Great flight with us so far. Yeah, so we should be on the ground in about an hour and 15 minutes. The fuel burn then, I'm keeping a close eye on the fuel burn because it's a new SimBrief profile. We're now using a performance factor of +10, where we used to use +8. It's gone up, and that's just because of the new weights and balance system here in the aircraft. So we'll cycle the SD pages. And we've used just shy of 2 tons of fuel. Pressure page looks good. Nothing wrong with any of these pages so far. 3000 psi. 2 tons of fuel. Yeah. As we loaded 7.5 tons. That's all fine. APU, of course, not running. Nice and warm in the back, 24 degrees. Might be a touch too warm actually. We can turn that down as well if you wish. And the breaker temperature is all good. Flight control system's all working. All systems are normal. One last thing to do then before we can really relax for a little bit is get some en route weathers. F game over. Hello, Captain. I always have a difference in fuel weight, takeoff weight, landing weight from SimBrief, and usually, well, of course, you're going to get a different fuel weight, takeoff weight, and landing weight because it gives you a different payload every time. So it changes the amount of passengers that you have on board, things like that. It'll change the wind depending on, it'll change the fuel you're taking depending on the weather en route, what route you're flying. So it wouldn't be realistic to be the same all the time. So no, that's really good. That's really good that's happening. So en route weathers, let us see. So we'll pop for, we're not bothered about Basel anymore. We'll go Echo Papa Kilo Kilo, and then we'll have a look at Munich, Echo Delta Delta Mike. And then after Munich we could also have a look at Vienna, Lima Oscar Whiskey Whiskey. And we'll get one more in there. Don't know where else should we pop for. just in case we need to divert anywhere. We're going to have a look at Budapest, which is our alternate actually, which is Lima, Hotel, Bravo and Papa. So I'm going to send those off. We'll wait for those to come back. Ryan E, do I have a profile for the SimBrief aircraft? Yes, if you check out one of the latest videos posted a couple of days ago, the new SimBrief profile is there. I think it's actually in the same video as the missing invisible aircraft fix. It's in the comments, it's in the video description to that. So, yeah. If Master, you were wondering about that as you've been close to final reserve the last couple of times and you've done a couple of medium haul flights using the fly-by-wire mod. Yeah, so make sure it's set to plus 10. Plus 10. JJ, good evening. Sorry, good morning. You're still having the same problem with aileron control. I hate to say it, JJ, but there's something wrong on your system, mate, because I've not heard of anybody that's had this problem. What happens on the flight control screen when you're turning left and right as well? I'm wondering if you have a conflicting mod, or if you have an older, an old fly-by-wire package installed somewhere. FK over, when you make a plan, the paperwork doesn't match up with the McDo and all those weights. Right, in that case, yeah, you need the SimBrief profile for the aircraft. Tell you what I'm going to do. Let me grab... let me see if I can grab the video that should help. Lee J, how do I pin charts on Navigraph? That's actually really simple. So, find the chart that you want. So here's our arrival airport. We can open the chart list, find a chart that you want, and then press the pin. And then they'll appear down here. So now I'm done with the charts for Basel. I can unpin those. We don't need them. And there we go. We've got the charts of Basel all gone and out of the way, and we've just got our arrival charts. So nice and clean there. Right, let me have a look, see if I can find the video that I keep referring to. Right, the invisible aircraft and conflicting aircraft problem and the new SimBrief weights. Let me post that to the chat. So if you're watching on YouTube, I've just posted a link to the chat on there. Lee J, you can only pin charts for airports that you've got a flight plan set up for. So I can only pin charts between those two airports. I can't pin charts for any other airports. Okay guys, well, I'm happy with all of that. I'll check those weathers when I get back. I'm just going to nip to the galley, grab myself a drink, and then we'll chat a little bit more before briefing our arrival into Krakow. Vidar Hidman, good morning. I shall leave you in the capable hands of our cabin crew. I will be back in about 5-6 minutes or so.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck once again, just to let you know that we've reached our cruising altitude for today, and we are not anticipating any major delays or bad weather ahead, so we should be arriving on time as planned. The cabin crew will now start to make their way around the aircraft, so please make sure that the aisles are clear of any items you may have, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. A reminder that our Easyjetsimpilot members are able to take advantage of free drinks throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and we shall have an update for you shortly.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages, together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Hey guys, so back with you with a nice freshly made cup of tea in hand. Aren't the cabin crew good? Actually, that's a lie. The cabin crew have deserted me this morning. There isn't any cabin crew. I've had to make my own. How sad. But being British, a good cup of tea always puts things into perspective. Dreaded clouds do indeed look amazing. I don't know. There was so many complaints when after Sim Update 5, and I don't know if they've brought them back or not. The problem is, I wish I could see a side-by-side comparison. Sorry, just listening to ATC. Wish there was a good side-by-side comparison of pre and post Sim Update 5 for the clouds. We've seen plenty regarding scenery, but clouds are a little bit harder to sort out, aren't they? Roland, I need to sort out the cabin crew, so they bring me the car. Yeah, quite right too. Quite right. Let's just see how we're doing up here. Lots of static on the chat today. What's happening there? That company message, I'm presuming the weather's all fine, but we'll just check that out. Winds 360 at 5, that's in Krakow where we're coming in. What have we got there? Munich, light winds, good visibility. Vienna, winds 29014, so we could land on runway 29 down there. Runway 34 would give you a bit of a crosswind, wouldn't it? But nothing that can't handle. And then, ooh, visibility not quite as good with light rain down at Budapest, broken 900 feet. And 5,000 feet. Nothing there causes me concern. So we're nearly almost halfway through the flight now. It does look like there's a lot more cloud cover as we head eastbound as there was where we left. Just thought you feel like flying. +8 or +10 for the profile. Go with +10, Jedis thought. +10 for the developer and experimental version. +8 for any others. When the simulator first came out, of course, the clouds were just out of this world, weren't they? They looked so realistic. I mean, to be honest, these don't look too bad now, but I don't know if we're just looking through rose-tinted spectacles at how good they were pre-Sim Update 5. Lee J, good morning on Facebook. Do I have a new graphic setting because during night flights the lights are floating? Ah, right. No, that should have been updated and sorted now. Yeah, you should have a hot fix that you've installed, and that should be sorted. Drilly anti-ice is between... Hang on, let me just come back into the flight deck to show you this. So, between +10 and -40. +10 and -40 of the SAT. And flying through visible moisture, so clouds. Obviously it is much lower than -40, so it's too cold for water vapour and ice, and we're not flying through visible cloud, so it's all good. Hey Lewis, good to see you back. Dridwin, hello. Requin, when you looked, when the sim first came out, you looked at a cloud and it iced up. Lewis, is that in the first team or is that reserves or one of the academies? Can I Google you? Far more famous than me or anybody else I know. What sweets? There's a whole host of sweets you could pick from. Some of them have got to be good for you, right? See, those clouds to me look really, really good, actually. Let me just get rid of that. I'm just having a look ahead to see if we've got any air traffic control online. I don't think we have, sadly, at the moment. Vida, when can I take a trip up to Norway? Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, I was thinking about this only the other day. Scandinavia, we have not been to for a while, so we're going to have to come back up to Scandinavia, aren't we? Particularly as it's had an update in the last few months. Oh, Lucy in the under-18s? Ah, fair enough. That's okay. Stick with it. And maybe when you're in the main squad, they won't lose 6-1. It's Man City, though, so you know. Willie, good to have you back, my friend. Hope you are. Hope you're working hard today. I know you will be. I know you will be. FK Momo, what are the 2 packs that you turned on before takeoff? What's the purpose of that? Ah, well, first of all, let's just correct you. I turned them off. Remember, Airbus operates a lights out policy. So if we come back into the cabin, on the overhead, if you see any lights turned on, something is wrong. Okay? So as long as there's no lights, that's exactly how you want it. And what I turned off was the air conditioning packs, so the pressurization and conditioning. So we have 2. We have pack 1. We have 2. Now they get their power, if you like. So the cabin is pressurized and air conditioning is powered through the air provided through the engines. But of course on takeoff you want your engines to be working at optimum power, so that they obviously have enough, they want 100% of their power focused on propelling the aircraft forward rather than tapping a bit of air off to go inside the cabin and provide air conditioning and pressurization, because you're on the ground, of course. There are some exceptions to that in the world, but I'm not going to go into that now. So what we do is before takeoff we turn the packs off. And as soon then as we get to the climb thrust altitude, we set climb thrust and we turn the packs back on. And you need to have them both back on. You need one will run for a maximum, I think it's 14,000 feet, and then you need both on above 14,000 feet. But the idea is you get them both back on as soon as possible, but leave 10 seconds between the 2 just to protect the surge, otherwise you could pop some passengers' ears. We don't want to do that. Unless they've got a bag of sweets to suck on. Hey, Lewis. Nick, good morning. How you doing, Nick? Have you been getting lots of flights in recently? Emma dude, clouds are fine far away, but jumping to a Cessna 172 close up and they get very pixelated. I've not done that. I need to do that. I was in a Cessna the other day, a real world one. And we flew over where I lived, which was very nice. And thankfully, of course, there were no clouds because I was VFR. I want to try and retrace that in the simulator, so I might have to do that at some point. Spliff, is it just me, or are you unable to clear on any discontinuities in the latest experimental version? There are some that you can't clear, and that is if you have to fly manually. If you need to fly manually, usually on arrivals, then you can't clear them. They're there for a reason. Lewis, is it a lovely day in London today? You know, in the UK it's going to get very windy at some point. Nick, you did 3 yesterday. You did a party trip to Ibiza and back, and then you did the flight that we did. Nice. Benjamin, as far as you know, COVID packs are being left on at all times nowadays to keep air cycling at all times. Not during takeoff. Unless you're in one of the special case airports, like Innsbruck or somewhere like that. But you are right in the sense that they are being left on a lot more than normal. So normally you wouldn't start the APU until you're starting to get ready to push back and start the engines, because the aircraft don't like noise, and of course it also it produces noise. It also burns fuel, and well, you don't want that. So they are on a lot more because you can't have passengers on now without packs. But still, for takeoff, they're turned off. Yeah, Willie, thanks for taking care of that for me, mate. Lewis, you live 50 minutes from Heathrow. It looks lovely. Oh, wow. I bet you get some great views of the aircraft coming in as well. Let's have a little look at the airport that we're going to be landing at today, shall we? Now, we've got some construction works, but I'll talk about that in a little while. How long is the runway? 2,550 meters. Okay. Willie, right, you're off to see some hot girls and boys. Is that right? We'll be back in 2 minutes. What's our landing? We're still planning to land runway 25, I think it is. Let me just check that runway is still in use in the real world. I can't see any reason why it's not. But let's find out. Krakow John Paul II International Airport, which is to the west of the city. So quite recently a Wizz Air just landed there, and yeah, they landed on runway 25. Wait, what's the minimum landing runway for the 320? Oh wow, now you're asking a question. For the 320, I think it's something like 1,600 meters. Depends on your weight, of course, doesn't it? How much fuel you've got on board, etc. So we'll do a landing calculation, but in order to do that, let me grab the latest weather, and then we'll go over to the tablet. I've just realised I didn't need to get the weather. What we do need to do then is get information off the charts. So, that's all the information. Runway altitude is 779. Runway heading is 252. It's not raining, runway's dry. Runway slope, negligible. Landing distance available is 2312 meters. Approach speed, we'll guesstimate that for now at 130 knots. Landing weight, what we're going to work that out. Landing weight should be around 66. Call it 60. In fact, how heavy are we? Just out of interest at the minute. Let's check this out. We're at 68.4. See, this is another thing as well. The dry operating weight of this aircraft appears to be very heavy. Very heavy indeed. So, I don't know who Fly-by-Wire have got their weights from, but they must have paid for the really solid, expensive seats. So, do you know what? The landing weight here is going to be close to the maximum, which is crazy. We hardly had any fuel. So, something's not quite right. Landing weight is going to be 67. Do you know what? I'm going to put it in for the maximum. I'm going to work out the maximum of 67.4 tons. We're going to be fully configured. Don't need to run the overweight procedure, hopefully. A reverse thrust, no. Calculate. So auto brake medium is going to be required. Looking at that, fair enough. Medium, it is. So that's our landing sorted. Now have a look at the crosswind that we've got coming in. This was shown to us, and we expected to see it on the charts. We'll just come right down to the significant weather down at the bottom here. There it is. Yeah. So there is the jet stream, which is why we're sort of crabbing our way along the flight path at the moment. Jibster, does the experimental spot RNAV? Yes it does, but not in final approach mode. You have to use nav FPA mode. Leroy, you've almost forgot to go to school. Well, who knows? You'll probably learn more important stuff there than here. Though there's an argument to be said for the contrary. Willie, funniest thing you ever saw was a USAir Saab 340. A rather heavy-set gentleman was asked to locate from business class to the middle of the plane as the pilot needed to correct the centre of gravity. Imagine being that guy. Oh dear. Right, when are we going to descend? Let's have a look, shall we? So what do we need? Track mileage then from Krakow 539 is what? Call it 40, 50, 55, 60, 65, 65, 65, 75, 80. So we've got about 80 track miles to run from this waypoint. Kilo 539. So I want to be Firewall 250 by the time we get there. In fact, we can go a bit lower than that. I want to be flight level 220 by the time we get to Kilo 539. So let's just pop that in here. What was that number again? 539. (122 miles away). So if I want to be flight level 220 by the time we get there, when do we need to start that descent? We're at 37 now. So 45 miles away. We'll start that top of descent. So our top of descent is going to be 45 miles from Kilo 539. So that's okay. Darren Gardner, good morning. Christian, we need cheesecake, lots of cheesecake. No we don't, I had my fill last night, mate. Is Pilot stood hosting with you this week, Willie? Oh, nice. Astro Sliver 76. You've a problem. You've a push button. Hang on, no, you've a problem. You don't mean a push button, do you? You have a problem with weight and balance. You've created a sim brief profile, the 320 profile, the passenger weight set to 104, but sim brief, you have a zero fuel weight of the, so you've got, right, okay. Yeah. Download the download the sim brief profile from the video that I did recently. The video link was posted earlier in the chat, but I've lost it. So I shall try and find that again for you.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. Full details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we could be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So I've just popped that in the chat for you watching on Facebook. Check that out. There's a link to a sim brief profile that should work, or should get you very, very close. Ooh, the George alarm's just going off. Bear with me a second whilst I get the parcels from the postman. Oh, God bless the George alarm. We don't need a doorbell, we just have the dog, who does a cracking job of letting us know when people are here. Unfortunately, if it's a brand new postman or post lady, they get scared to death of him. And he's as soft as a brush. Christian, which fuel factor do I use with this profile? Well, I'm going to keep checking this in a moment. At the moment, I'm still using plus 10. Plus 10. So we'll see how we get on. Well, you were just going to say, when did they fit the George alarm to the fly-by-wire? Custom sounds, my friend. Custom sounds. That and me slurping tea. Which you may be able to hear at the minute. I want to get this tea drank before we go down. So speaking of fuel, what are we? About 62 miles away from Patka. What should we have at Patka? Let's have a quick look. I should see 3.7 tons of fuel at Patka. Doesn't look like that's going to be too far off. I've got some screen tearing coming back. I've not seen that for a while. I thought that was something else that had been fixed, so that's quite annoying. You only see that when panning around, but even so. Right, let's talk about how we're going to do this approach then. So we've already said that I'm going to aim for flight level 220 at Kilo 539. So in order to do that, we're going to initiate our top of descent 45 miles away from here. We're obviously then following the star all nice and straight through. We need to make sure we're a little bit below the profile, or we need to keep an eye on the speed, because we have a max speed of 543 at 543 of 220 knots. That is to then be maintained until we get to Basel. When I get to Basel, we are 16 miles away, so I want flaps 1 out at Basel, and then we need to get down to 4,000 feet by Ofuk. Careful how we pronounce that one. And then after that, we can descend to the platform altitude of 3,000 feet. To be honest with you, by the time we've got to, if we get 4,000 feet at Ofuk, then we're going to be close to intercepting the glide slope. So flaps 1 by Basel, flaps 2 depending on where the glide slope is, and then we'll hold speed of 180 knots until about 8 miles DME from touchdown, 160 knots until around 6 miles, and then we'll fully configure for our landing. So things to be noted: transition altitude is 6,500 feet. That platform altitude we've just mentioned is 3,000 feet. Minimum safe altitude as we come in is 6,900 feet to the south, and if we're just careful, we can see that just here. So need to be aware of that. We will be on the star, so we will be allowed to descend below that. We're going to be aiming, as I say, for 4,000 feet. Sorry, for 5,000 feet at Basel. Oh, that might just change something actually. 5,000 feet at Basel. Let's just go back to this. Just here. Oh yeah, that makes sense. 5,000 feet at Basel. That's fine. And then we're descending down. But I still want flaps 1 out by 5,000 feet at Basel. Max speed 220 knots. The minimum safe altitude 6,900 feet. And the approach itself is a Cat 1 ILS. Runway visual range is well above 550 meters, so we're clear to start the approach. And Cat C, so the decision altitude is 1,001 feet. ILS frequency is 110.3. Runway elevation 779, and the missed approach is climb straight ahead to waypoint Kilo 383, or a distance of 12 miles from the CAC VOR, and it's a right turn, max speed 220 knots. Climb to 4,000 feet. So we're going to tune in the CAC VOR as well, as we can use that for our descent planning when we get a little bit closer, and we pick that up. Okay, so I'm going to go just check how close we are to our top of descent. We're nearly there actually. So let me just get the latest weather. We'll send that off, and we'll look to start initiating our top of descent in a moment. So let's quickly get this in, then we'll head down. So QNH is 1022. Temperature is 11 degrees. Wind 350 at 7. Transition altitude is 6,500 feet. And decision altitude 1001. Try pressing the right button and it actually goes in. There we go. Right, let's go down. So, initially set flight level 220. Thrust idle, open descent 220 blue. Down we go. Christian, you're... I think I'm 90% sure that the screen tearing is a result of upscaled rendering. It's not done it for a while. It hasn't. So that's strange, isn't it? We may have to go back to render scale even 100, which doesn't look as good, obviously, but hey ho. I'm going to. I think I should copyright and patent the Georgie alarm. So the star that we're using to arrive is the Padka 3 Golf. And I'm just double checking once more that there isn't any ATC around. No, sadly not. Never mind. Mike, what's the difference between decision height and radio altimeter? So decision height, which you put in the... hang on, we're confusing the two things here. So the baro height uses barometric pressure to give you a decision altitude, which you use when doing a normal Cat 1 landing. Basically, not an auto land. When you're doing an auto land, you use a decision height. Now that then runs off the radio altimeter, the little numbers that you see at the bottom. And that's the voice that you hear calling out 50, 40, 30, 20. That's the radio altimeter. That's when you use auto land. When you're using auto land, you use a decision height rather than a decision altitude. Oh, Christian, you can send me some instructions. I'll look out for that on Discord. Right, just turn that VOR on. And did we actually program that in? I said I was going to. I don't know if I did or not. I didn't. Let's pop that in. The Krakow VOR. KAK. There it is. 61 miles away. Bearing in mind, however, that that's as the crow flies, and we actually have to fly around it. So whilst we might be 60 miles away from here, you've essentially got 60, 70, 80, 90, probably about 110 miles to run. So that's fine. We can fine-tune it the closer we get, of course. I've still got a company message that I've not read, so let me just go in there and clear that off, just so it's not annoying me on the eCam. There we go. Check the radar page frequency as well, 110.3. The ILS frequency is correct, so that's good. We're landing at Orbx scenery as well today, so looking forward to seeing this airport, because I've never seen it before. So that will be nice. Christian, I've just reread that. Are you sure you don't mean tribal buffering as well? Tribble, triple and tribal. Get the fingers working this morning. If you've enjoyed the flight so far, guys, please don't forget to hit the like button on the stream. Makes a huge difference to the channel, so I really, really do appreciate that. Looks like we've timed this top of descent nicely. Just under 10 miles away. Oh, in fact, there you go, 8 miles away, and I want to fly level 220. So that's working wonderfully well. Willie, how'd you miss Tartan? What have I missed? Are you flying into Edinburgh? I made myself this huge mug of tea. I've got a feeling it's going to be cold by the time we come in. Right, my paranoia check, make sure that I've just gone through my list. We've got the weather and landing information. FMGC is nicely all coded in. Landing elevation is confirmed 779. We're going to set auto brake to medium. Arrival briefing has been done. Sadly, we can't turn on any radars, etc. And we'll set the local pressure on the standby instrument, which is 1022. Christian, thanks for the meta. Was that the current meta? 010 at 4 knots. Varying with few cheesecakes at 2,000 feet and broken cheesecakes at 4,000 feet. Oh, Willie, I like Southend Airport. Try landing at it though. Right, we're going to continue that descent now, and I'm going to set that descent all the way down to 5,000 feet. Which means we're going to set the local pressure 1022. Thrust idle over descent 5,000 blue. Thomas, is anyone finding the auto land a bit floaty? No, but don't be expecting... I've not tried it, but don't be expecting butter on this landing. I need a lot more practices since they've changed the flare logic on this aircraft and the weights and things of it. As we discovered in the last couple of flights, it's... after spending a year of flying this aircraft, we've essentially gone to a new aircraft, which is different. F game over. Sorry for a lot of questions. Don't worry about that. That's what the channel is for. ATC told you direct to a VOR. How can you add it in the McDo if it wasn't in your flight plan? Right, that is a little bit tricky. But essentially what you would do is you would, if you know where to add it, or right at the top, you would select on the left hand side, and there you've got next waypoint. You can type the next waypoint into there, enter it in there, and then it would appear in your flight plan. You would then go direct and then select it and activate it with this button just here once it was selected. Vida, thank you so much for your donation. I just have to thank you so much for the learning. You've made Flight Sim 2020 so much more than just a game, especially when it comes to airline and flight. Vida, you are so welcome. Thank you very much for your very kind donation there, and I hope you've enjoyed the flight with us today as well, Vida. We're going to have to get back up to Scandinavia, aren't we? I'm going to make that my mission. So, let's keep the speed up. I'm just going to monitor that descent. So what are we now? So when I'm going to be in the airport, I've still got about 10, 20, 30, 25, 25, 30, 40 miles to run. Yeah, so that's fine. We're okay. Land O'Lakes, you had a -73 yesterday with only a 10-second float. A 10-second float must surely have thrown you past the landing zone, the touchdown zone. Mrs. Goofy, how do you do the fuel checks in the sim that you do in the real world? So, checking everything in the real world. Right, well, we've done the fuel checks. I'm not really going to do any more. But basically, what you would do is here at Kilo 542, I know I've got an extra 0.7 tons of fuel. So, if I do 542 is just there. So I've got 2.9. I would expect to see 3.6 tons of fuel around there. What have I got? 3.78, so that's fine. Christian, will I turn the anti-ice on? Yes, I will. We'll get down a little bit further first.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an Easyjet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, you may have noticed that we've just begun our final descent into our destination. If you could now assist the cabin crew by tidying up your tray table and handing them any litter as they come around, that would be most appreciated. For safety reasons, we ask now that you please turn off all electronic devices or switch them to airplane mode until after we have landed. Please note that the aircraft toilets are now out of use. If you wish to become a Easyjetsimpilot channel member, please contact a member of your cab crew who will be happy to assist you. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed your flight.
Seatbelt signs have got on. Land approach checklist. Minimums are set both sides. Engine mode selected normal. Electronic flyback is stowed.
If you could please return to your seat and ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. If you are traveling with an infant, please ensure that they are secured safely using the infant seatbelt harness provided. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
Well, a bit late for duty free, isn't it? It is actually, but I'll tell you a secret. I played that so I could mute the microphone while I swigged the last of my tea, which is fast going cold. 10,000 feet, let's get the lights on. We've got 10,000 feet, we're now beamed the airport, so we've probably got about 40 miles to run. Maybe a tad more, but that's okay. And we're slowing down now to 250 knots. I'm going to activate the approach phase, so that's all done. So that's sorted. Vito, I use self-loading cargo for my cabin sounds. Mr. Scoofy on Twitch, I have loads of tutorials here on YouTube regarding departure growth. In fact, the real world procedures playlist on there will take you through a full flight in detail. So we've got the landing system turns on. Willie, that's the strangest explanation you've heard from me yet. Hey, I'm not lying. Right, we're on our way down quite nicely now, and given the speed restriction, I'm going to activate the pop that into managed speed. We'll just continue the descent to around about 1,000 feet per minute, just to keep us getting on the way down. We can also lose airspeed as well. That will target the max 220 knots. So that final brief again, I want flaps 1 by here. We're going to monitor the glide slope by that point as well, at which point flaps 2 will come out. We'll maintain 180 knots. That airspeed is bleeding off nicely. JJ, I think you're on our Discord, aren't you? Can you send us a photo of your packages and what's installed, and do a search for FlyByWire in there. Willie, Wayne was on last night, so Wayne is around. So profile's looking good, aircraft is still slowing down. Krakow traffic, top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo is right downwind on the Delta 3 Golf, arrival for runway 25. Thrust idle, open descent. Now we've slowed that down to 220 knots. Right, here comes the clouds. And we're starting to meet that glide slope, as you can see. So with the glide slope now joining to meters, let's get the flaps out. So flaps 1, speed checked. Flaps 1. And looking at the speed constraints that are on there, I'm going to just roll that speed back manually to 180 knots. $17 miles away. We're on the base leg at the minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray table must be stowed, armrest down, and window blind open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer in service.
Let's continue that descent now down to 4,000 feet. And we don't need to do it any quicker than about 500 feet per minute. That will come back up and meet the glide slope. So flaps 2, still maintaining 180 knots. We'll activate the approach and arm that. We've got glide slope blue, block star as that's coming in nicely. Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2. 15 miles out. Christian, that's awful. So as we're establishing now on the ILS, just waiting for the glide slope to come in, I'm just going to go through that go around procedure again. So if we need to go around, it will be toga, go around flaps, and pitch up 15, 17.5 degrees, positive rate of climb, gear up, and then we climb straight ahead to 12.5 degrees from the CAC VOR, and a max speed of 220 knots, which is clean speed. so that works out quite nicely. We've almost had a continuous descent approach right from the top of descent. That doesn't happen very often.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
So runway is in sight, 10 miles out. Krakow traffic, top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo, established runway 2510 miles. And glide slope star. Missed approach altitude is set. Wayne! We were just talking about you. Eight miles. Let's set 160 knots. In fact, can I just check actually? Manage speed, where does that take us? Oh, that does take us to VAP. That's okay. Right, 160 knots, and radio altimeter is alive, as you've just heard. Great view looking out over Krakow.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
I'll get those lights on just now as I'm about to pop the landing gear down. Just past 6 miles, gear down, spoilers armed. Manage speed, flaps 3, speed checked. 5 miles, flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin is secured, auto thrust speed, go around altitude 4000 set, and ECAM memo landing no blue. Wind is from the north, or from the right, so about 9 knots. Nothing we shouldn't be able to handle. Let's see then how the aircraft performs as we attempt to get this newly weighted aircraft down onto the runway. One thing I should have brought into the briefing is the runway width is 60 meters. It is a very wide runway. So let's try not to fall foul to the optical illusion of flare too soon. 1,000 feet. Autopilot off. I have control. 2 white, 2 red on the pappies. Someone's asking about go-around flaps there. Go-around flaps is essentially 1 degree of flaps above whatever you were currently set at. So flaps full, flaps 3. If you're doing a flaps 3 landing, you'd go flaps 2. 500 feet, approach stable.
400. 300. 100 above. 200. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
And then a little bit of rudder to help with that. Auto brakes doing their job. Spoilers should be deployed, but the ECAM screen's not changed. Reverse thrust off. Tap the parking brakes to release the auto brakes, and we'll roll to the end. don't take taxiway Echo, which is the one just here on the left. We need to continue to the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat.
Oh, didn't mean to stop on the runway. That's bad. Don't stop on the runway. Get out of the way.
Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your Easyjet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or Easyjet app.
What was the landing rate then, guys? It didn't look too bad from here. Requeen02, you gave us a 4 out of 10 on the flare yesterday, and we completely mucked it up. We floated away. So I'm never going to get 10 out of 10 on yours. 87, Lewis, that's good. The cabin crew will be happy with that. So let's just tidy the aircraft up. Now, due to the construction works here, we're going to continue all the way along this taxiway right to the end, and then we shall make a right-hand turn to come and park at the terminal. I'll tell you what I didn't do. Top Swiss 18 Lima Bravo vacated runway 25 at Krakow. Alex, you can download the Easyjet liveries from flightsim.to. So yeah, not a standard, but you can obviously get it for free. Please remove all babies from the overhead lockers. Wow, I would take up a few rows. So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the flight this morning. If you had, we kept you company while you've been working or whatever, then please do give the stream a like. And if you're new, obviously hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notifications bell. There's that VOR. Watch this. There's the VOR station. And the VOR needle is still turned on. How nice to see that. It's the little things, isn't it? So this is a joint military airport as well, as you can clearly see from the scenery being shown just here. That's nice. F-game over the Easyjet livery is the most downloaded one. Of course it is. It's amazing. Dwile, the Easyjet cabin announcements are not part of the livery set. I have basically made this sound pack up myself, so that it sounds as realistic as possible. So you can't actually turn right there because there's work's been done. We're going to go right to the end and then turn onto Zulu 6. So here's right at the end now. Coming up on Zulu 6, we'll turn right just here. I could have done a single engine taxi as well. That would have helped control the speed. But we're nearly there now anyway. So we'll come in here and we can park at stand 12. great looking scenery. Again, this is from Orbx, this airport, if anybody is wondering. So here we go, stand 12 coming up. Let me just turn off the taxi lights. Have we stopped again? There we go. So there is quite a bit of work being done at the airport at the moment, which is why we've gone sort of a bit of the long way round. Really, it's not that far when you consider we could have landed at Amsterdam. Right, let's just cheat as we peer over the top here. There we go. Oh look, it is the bus for the passengers. Parking brake is set. Just check that APU's running, isn't it? Yeah, APU's running. Engines 1 and 2 turned off. And seatbelt signs off. Just wait for the logbook. Ciao, good morning, hope you're well. And rotating beacon light can come off. Let's just go to the ground page and see if we can spawn any ground traffic for us. So I don't know if we get external power, baggage, catering. Oh, there they all are. That's nice. So with a bit of luck, they can all come in. Let's see. Oh, here comes the baggage loader. Here comes the GPU. And everything looks great, nice and busy, ready to offload all of your luggage. Great stuff. Let's just connect up the external power. We'll of course leave the APU on while passengers are deboarding. Right then guys, that's it for this stream. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched for throughout the flight. Big thank you as always to those who have donated and contributed to the channel upkeep throughout the stream, and of course to the Easyjetsimpilot channel members who continue to offer their support to the channel. Really enjoyed that flight. It was great to do a daytime early morning stream for a change. It worked really nicely. Huge thanks to everyone. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again for the next one. Bye bye guys.